Hello and good morning, good afternoon, good evening, people. Welcome to Johnny the Greek's Free Real Estate Episode 3. This week I am joined by one of my very best friends in the IDP Twitterscape, someone I met very early in my career in this space, and has been a good friend and a solid, just a solid dude the whole time I've known him. It's the IDP Tipster, Gary Van Dyke, at the IDP Tipster on Twitter. And before we get into it, let me just say this before I forget. We're very likely going to swear and say terrible things at some point during this. So keep that in mind. If there are children in the room, have them put on headphones or consider headphones for yourself. This is not safe for work. With that being said, Gary, what's up, man? How the hell are you?
I'm doing great, John. I'm excited to come on here, and I always love getting on here with you and talk IDP. So I know this is a little bit different than normal, but I'm ready to chat it up. I don't know, kind of a weird off season. I'm thinking about the football all the time, so I'm not sure how much personal talk I'll have for us because it's usually wrapped around fantasy football to begin with for me.
That's okay, man. That's the idea behind this is, all these people that, read and hear like you're getting defensive show and all, the other podcasts you've done and shows in the past. That's all they know is the football side of us. And this gives us a little chance to, talk about some other things too.
Yep. And I love it. I've done a couple of little shorter ones, I guess you could say, similar to this, kind of meet the people or whatever, introduce myself. And, but I think this one's going to be a little bit more interesting than those. It was quite the list there to get over. Right. Right. Well, so we'll see where this goes. I'm kind of curious myself. I've been thinking about it. It's like, all right, let's go. It's good stuff, though, John. I'm glad to have you out here in this community, man. You're underappreciated. I scream it all the time. You're underappreciated, man. There's no reason this gentleman shouldn't have 10,000 or more followers. I mean, on Twitter. I have to say even more than that, but that would be more than me, and I don't want that. I mean,
can't have that. Yeah,
can't have that, man. You know how that works, right? Right. We all know it doesn't matter. It's just like, Twitter, you say one thing, but you're really thinking the other. Sure, let me help you get a few more followers. Screw you. Right? We know how it is.
I love that, man. No, thank you. I appreciate that. And yeah, you've always shouted out my good graces ever since we, God, I think the first time we ran across you was IDPGuys podcast, and we featured a bunch of your articles because I was brand new to Twitter, and there was like maybe 3 or 4 guys out there that like were well-known IDP writers, and you were, the one I saw first. You were easily the most approachable out of all of them, and just turned out to be a really nice and solid guy, and I'm glad it happened.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I can still remember it. I mean, actually, my first podcast, I haven't been into this writing game as long as some people might think, I mean, I think that when I happened to come into this, there were a lot less IDP writers, and I just happened to come in, the years experience, I was able to talk about it pretty freely. And I liked the engagement, especially in the off season, because I wanted more football. And even though I was in these leagues, I wanted more football, and I wanted to be able to talk about it. So, but I mean, realistically, I haven't quite put the dent in this community as the guys like Davenport or the IDP Guru, or even Mark Walden, I think is his name.
Yeah,
these guys have been. Yeah, I think Mark's probably been around in the game. The IDP Monk, So I kind of landed in a good spot where I come in. It jumped off for me kind of quick. So luckily, however it happened, we came across each other, man, and it's been one of the best relationships that I've had with any person on the internet. You know what I mean? You meet a lot of people, and some of them just don't last. And I appreciate you, John, for who you are, man.
Yeah, thanks, man. I can relate. It seems like every season we get, you know, a bunch of privates landing in Vietnam for the first time, right? And they're
right.
ready for combat, and most of them don't make it.
Right. Yeah, and it's really gotten watered down a little bit. You know, I mean, it just changed a little bit, especially on Twitter. You know, but there's a lot out there. You know, but there's a lot of great stuff coming out from some of these young minds too. It's just you got to weed that out. You know.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely, man. So we were talking about this a little bit before we got started, but what have you been doing this off season? I know you got the Getting Defensive show going. What else have you been working on?
Well, I probably have put out, I'm thinking 20, 25 articles possibly already since the first of the year. I did take all of January off, so I read a little bit of content in late December, maybe early January, but I took a few weeks off there from Getting Defensive and writing and such. We just got our rankings, getting them up on site, their Gridiron ratings. We just really, I've been kind of helping coordinate with Getting Defensive, keeping the two shows going. Me and Brandon Jackson, if you guys haven't checked out Brandon Jackson, he's our newest IDP contributor, writer. Actually, he's doing a hell of a job for us. He's got quite a few articles at gridironratings.com. In the IDP section, he's really up and coming. He's at bjackson83. I'm excited to be working with him. You know, I've worked with quite a few people over the years, and he is on his way. So you guys need to give him a follow and check him out. But just really trying to coordinate things. You know, we're growing. We just added, no lie, somewhere around the vicinity of 14 new people with the Gridiron Rating, you know, family. So it's part of Dire Dynasty podcast and a few other things we've kind of merged with or consumed. I don't know how to say it, you know what I mean? But they're all part of the family. So we're really, we got some other special things we're working on at the moment, getting things ready and just keep rolling. You know, we're only a couple of years old now, really grinding this out. So we have no complaints, and I'm still really excited for the direction everything's going. I actually have been able to enjoy this part of the off season more than the last couple of years. As you know, I had my own website there in 2019, and then, you know, merged with him in 2020 and 21. So, but this is the first real off season that I'm not like super trying to grind, because I'm the only, I was kind of the only one putting out some stuff there for a while. You know, we didn't have the writers yet. We're still working on it. So I kind of felt that needed to make sure that, you know, we published, I think in that first year, 2020, I published over 310 pieces of fantasy in 1 year and one season. But that included my charts and such. And, you know, those breakdown, those are like 8 of them a week through the season. But still, it was still 310 publications. So, biggest, yeah. So I'm nowhere near that right now. Right now, I just kind of help coordinate everybody and with Getting Defensive if possible. You know, Craig and JJ are just great, man. They for a host on those shows, you know, they like Craig, he just sets everything up. I just kind of, I've gotten lucky. I'm comfortable for the first time in a couple of years, and it feels pretty good, you know, completely like settled, comfortable. This is it, you know, it's pretty cool.
That's awesome, man. And you definitely got a good point there, because there's a lot of that shit that happens every off season, the changes, moving around, mergers, stuff like that. It's nice to be settled and to just know what you got going on.
Right. And it took me a couple of years to get there, you know, but I knew the IDPTipster.com was just kind of a holdover. As long as everything worked out, me and Jeff had already spoke about this before it was actually his decision, because if y'all didn't know it, I used to write with IDPGuys. So this is that following year that I went out on my own, and basically I was, you know, and talked to Jeff, had some decisions to make. And instead of jumping on some other brand somewhere else, or anything else. I decided it would be best just to not, just try it on my own, just kind of hang out and see where we landed and when we landed there with Jeff at Gridiron Ratings, and I've been so happy since. He's top notch. He's a great guy.
Nice. That's awesome, man. So let's
Yep.
let's rewind. Let's take it back to the beginning. So how did you even get into football? And I know I've asked you this, what your favorite team is, and that's an interesting answer, but talk us through those couple things.
Let's see. I got into football probably in the early 1980s. Dan Fouts, but Chargers were my favorite team. I live in Ohio. Everybody else was Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, Cleveland. Or wait a minute. Yeah, was Cleveland there? Yeah, I think Cleveland was there. So, anyways, so it's just, I don't know. I started watching my Ohio team is Ohio Buckeyes, State Buckeyes. So, they're really the only team I root for now. Unfortunately, I probably don't follow them as well as I should. But as long as they keep winning, what do I care? I've been a fan since a kid, so it just kind of earned my stripes a long time ago. I'm too busy doing this other stuff here. But and Chargers fan, so I picked the Chargers. I have no rhyme or reason why I did, other than they weren't somebody that anybody around me was cheering for. Dan Fouts years and such. But I remember watching Tony Dorsett and such back all through the 80s. It was a different type of football. I mean, I can't say it's old school rough like 70s and 60s type stuff, but it was different. It was a transition. Those 10 years of the 80s before we got to the high flying passing circus starting in the 90s.
Yeah, definitely, man. And was this like a family thing, or was this like an Ohio thing?
No, actually, it was a me thing. I just my dad worked all the time. He worked at GM. He building cars, back when that was actually a good job and one of the better jobs, blue collar jobs, I believe they would call it. But either way, he went around. He played sports as a young man, but he worked all the time. So we did do things together in that sense, but he didn't watch football whatsoever. My older sister, she was playing sports. I just put it on and watched it. Was like, oh, this looks like, I think I was probably about 12 or 13. We didn't have any pee-wee football where I grew up. So I wasn't even introduced to playing the game until my 7th grade in junior high. So, it was like my passion and liking it and looking forward to it started in grade school. But I remember vividly. It was good. It was pretty cool because it was like it was my own. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, Gary's watching his football. He's actually sitting down. Right?
That's awesome, man. And I think you can probably relate to this. The older we get, the more we look back at those years, and it's like that those are good memories, right? Like those seasons. Like I remember those seasons fondly. From my childhood. It's good stuff.
Yep.
Awesome, man. So did you end up playing in grade school or high school or?
Yeah, I played through junior high, got into high school. Actually, I was pretty well. This is a long story short, man. I was a hyperactive kid. Okay, no lie. I got cracked by this kindergarten teacher the first day of kindergarten school of my life. No lie. Girl, we was having quiet time or story time. Poor girl's peed her pants. And I couldn't quit laughing. I was, from that day on, I was grade school was a blur. I was Ritalin was a popular thing back in the 80s. Give those kids that you couldn't relate to, and for teachers it was so I'm completely against Ritalin or anything like that, considering what I know now. But either way, once I got into junior high and I had already been playing summer baseball and stuff, we lived at a lake, so I water skied every day of the year, swam every day of the year, not every day of the year, but the summer. But what sports gave me something to focus on. helped me. I had to keep my grades up, so I kind of brought myself out. So it brought me out in junior high. By the time I was hitting into high school, I varsity in 3 sports my freshman year as a
Oh, wow.
freshman, but it's a AA school here, which is a medium-sized school. So, it's not like huge school, but still that there wasn't nobody else out of my class that did in 3 sports. I actually, I got bumped up from the freshman team. I apologize. I didn't do it in basketball. I got reserve. I got bumped up from the freshman team to the reserve team. I got to sit in on a couple of varsity games as a freshman, but then I turned around my freshman track. I actually went to districts and regionals and high hurdles, and for a skinny white kid, I was pretty fast. So yeah, that was probably the highlight, folks. As you just heard the Van Dyke Sports highlight. After that, I busted my knee a couple of years later playing football.
Man,
So
what position were you playing for football?
Back.
Running back? No shit.
Yeah, I was a running back. I was a hell of a pass catching running back too. But anyways, I was a defensive back. Believe it or not, I was a defensive back. I wasn't really all that good, but I was so involved in wanting to be a good pass catcher and all this other stuff. So, I busted my knee on kickoff return, or not kickoff return, kickoff coverage. Yeah, they kind of ended it all for me there at that time. They didn't quite have it. I could have recovered, but sad story, and this back then coding was a big thing. And when you hand a 16-year-old a bottle of codeine and tell him to take it whatever he needs to for pain, and I was in high school. So, and I was already, it was like, I really thought that my sports to me was just what drove me, So I lost track. Let's just put it that way. After I got hurt, I hit bottom pretty good at that stage of my life as a teenager. And we talk about depression and stuff. I know you guys at IDPGuys have which is not the same type. Autism.
But no, you're right. We're into mental health stuff, and me, dude. Like, this is what I do for a fucking living, and I'm in recovery myself from opiates. So it's like I know what you're saying, and you can't do that. You can't hand a 16-year-old a script for a narcotic and be like, well, hope it works out. Good luck, buddy. That doesn't work out well.
Right. No aftercare, really.
Yeah.
How's your knee feeling? Oh, it still hurts, doc. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Give me more. Right.
Yeah. That's their whole follow up. Yep. So, anyways, it went left from there. You know what I mean? For a few years, it was the 80s. It was a little bit different. It wasn't again the 70s or 60s, but it was still the 80s, and there was a lot happening back then when, things that were accessible. Things were a lot different back then.
Oh, yeah.
I hate to talk about the 80s like this, but I mean, you didn't have the DUIs and stuff. It was still happening. And I'm not saying it's right and it shouldn't have, but you have cops pull over a car full of kids. And I probably shouldn't be talking about this for legal reasons, but and the cop pour the beer out and tell the kids get in the car and go home. That's just not going to happen nowadays. It's a different world. You actually have to show ID now.
Right.
You know what I mean? Back then it was like, he looks questionable. So, maybe you better stick to beer. You know what I mean? Right. Instead of buying the wine.
No doubt, man. How about this? Was there a memorable play or game from your football career that you want to talk about?
Yeah, you would think it might have something to do with a touchdown or something, but realistically, I can remember my sophomore year when I had moved. My parents had gotten a divorce, so I moved with my mother. She had moved into an area with a AAA school. It was a little bit bigger, and I knew this. And this is like, to me, was kind of like a career move, trying to get to college, minor college, whatever. I wanted to get to bigger school, get a little bit of notice to if I knew it was going to be tougher. Um, but the first over the middle pass that I caught and completed for a 10 more yards is the biggest thing that sticks out of my mind. That was one thing. Like I said, my dad worked a lot, so. But when we did have the chance, and we did water skiing stuff, but when I got him involved with football with me, I used to have him. He was a bigger guy than I was, man. He played sports. He strong arm. He could throw the football at a bullet, 40, 50 yards to me. And I just, from the time I was in junior high until all through high school, we'd just go out back and we'd pass. We'd pass 100 balls, and he would just nail me every time. And I learned to catch with my hands. You know what I mean? You learn to catch with your hands. That nub and that hurts. So by the time I got into my sophomore year, man, I didn't drop balls. I just prided myself for that. Don't dare stick me out as a wide receiver though, because I wanted to be a running back. But I remember I went out in the formation, and that for some reason just if I have to flash back to anything that stands out the most. Was just that catch, secure run. And, I didn't make a touchdown, but man, it was just that feeling got up like, that's tough. I see guys get killed, that's open season. Just for some reason that just sticks out to me.
That's awesome, man. I love that. I could see that. So I don't know if you want to talk about this, no worries if not, but you said your son plays, right? So tell us about, family, pets. What do you got going on at home right now? I know you got a lot of pets too.
Family or son plays what?
Yeah, Didn't you say your son plays football?
Oh no. He no interest whatsoever in football. I had an older son. My son that's passed away a few years ago. My older son, he played for a few years, but no, Timothy, he lives here at the house. He's 20, is working, saving up some money and stuff so he can get away from us. But, you're right. So, let's see. But no, he never got into it. He ran track, played basketball.
Maybe it was basketball I was thinking of. I could have sworn you said something about some kind of sport with him playing. I
might have been talking about my dad. Yeah, it might have been, maybe, possibly. No, Timothy, he's a big guy. He's just a little bit shorter than I am, but big guy. Probably, I always wondered. Me. I'm football thinking, but I just let him do his thing because after busting my knee, I kind of like, well, the odds aren't that great that anybody can make it to the pros. You got to be a special type of person to make it to the pros.
Yeah.
So I guess now we can go for the USFL though.
Yeah, there you go.
Right.
And then what about the pets? You're always telling me stories about cats and different dogs that you guys got going through there.
Right. Yeah, we have one cat. I'll start with her. She's the newest addition. She's a couple years old now. Wasn't a big cat person. She kind of adopted us. She was a stray. We lived out in the country, ended up at the house. Anyway, she's a doll baby. She's not the most wanting to be loved on type cat, but she gives us our moments, I guess you could say. As a cat owner, I didn't know what it was to be a cat owner, John. You've had a cat for years, I think.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, right. So I didn't know that. I've always been a dog person. So she was kind of a rescue thing, and I wasn't that excited about it. But at the time, I'm happy about it now. I mean, she's great. So, but then we have another pound puppy. I think he's 10, 11. He's just a hyper dude. Doesn't matter. He still acts like a pup. And then I got an older terrier mix, and she's on her last legs. Actually, she was so close to being on her last, legs that we actually scheduled an appointment to, go have her put down. She hadn't ate for a while and stuff. I was in my head saying my goodbyes and talked to the vets and stuff. And it was like, oh, this, and she basically just stood up and walked away and was like I'm not ready to go. It was so weird. They didn't really have an answer for it without going into the extensive multi-million-dollar test, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yep.
yeah, so I appreciate that. I love my animals, but she was 16-year-old dog, so I'm only age catches up with us. So, but either way, so yeah, I got the 2 dogs right now and the cat. Wife swears up and down after, let's see, we've been together 22 years, I think, something like that. Oh, 2019. So, and we've always had 2 to 3 dogs this entire time, So, yeah, when Lucy, bless her heart, she moves on, then we'll have JJ and Meow Meow, and I guess we're stuck with a cat for like 20 years.
Yeah,
Right?
if it's an indoor cat, could be. Yep.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. For some reason though, she's so tiny. I don't get it. She's like a run of the litter or something. She's so tiny. I bet she doesn't even weigh for 2 years old. She doesn't even weigh like 10 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah, she's tiny. She's around here somewhere. But yeah, I don't know why. She might have just been the runt. I have no idea.
That's wild, man. Yeah, no, cats are different, especially if you grew up with dogs. Like dogs are very predictable. That you know their motivations. You can guess what they're gonna do. Fucking cats, man. You don't know. You don't know what you're walking into any day of the week. It's wild, but it's entertaining. So
right. Yeah, yeah, it is. Yeah.
Good shit, man. So let's.
No shit, man.
So I kind of like to switch gears a little bit back and forth here with this part of the interview. So we're going to just bop around, some football, some other. Let's start with IDP and fantasy. So how did you get into that? Because you were just a normal football fan. When did you get into the fantasy and the IDP?
Man. I mean, I've gone through these so many. To put a direct year on, I'm going to say the mid to late 90s. Really, really diving into it and getting hard into it at early 2000s. I want to say I'll call it pencil and paper times when you could play pencil and paper. But I'm not sure if my pencil and paper time is exactly lined up with some other people because I still use pencil and paper right now when I'm doing all my stuff for IDP. So I'm just that kind of guy. So I don't know how to tell you about that. Yeah, I think I answered the question, right?
Yeah. No, that's just so
it's 20 plus years.
Right. A long time. A long time.
Yeah. Yep. I have a hard time remembering what happened, yesterday, not alone. Not only that, but 20-some years ago. You know how much beer that was?
Oh,
that was a lot of beer ago.
Quite a bit. And we have the get off my porch conversation all the time off air, just on the regular phone, where we're like, do you see this fucking guy with his tweet about, saying you got to go grab linebacker first or whatever it is that you or me are complaining about that day. And it's like, we've been doing this for a minute. So
yeah. Yeah. That's why, I don't know. It's changed a lot, hasn't it? I mean, that's really all you can say. It's just changed so much in the last 3 years, something like that.
Yeah, it's less about actionable advice. It's more about making a splash and followers and bullshit. Yeah.
Yeah, the bells and whistles.
Yep. Yeah. So how about this? What were some of your favorite early IDPs? So 90s, 2000s. So guys that have been mentioned so far. Zach Thomas, Jonathan Vilma, DeQuell Jackson, Keekly Willis, those guys. Who comes to mind for you?
Why, London Fletcher?
Oh, fuck yes. Love London Fletcher.
Derek Brooks?
Yes.
I mean, I remember, but see, my favorite time was when IDP was, fantasy football was all still kind of into its infancy. So IDP was really in its infancy, and it was all tackle based,
right?
For the most part, you know what I mean. I didn't know anything else until, I don't know, probably started catching on when I started playing IDP and getting super serious about it. The idea of saying the words balanced IDP or scoring format meant that it was just japping it up a little bit so IDP was relevant as offense.
Right.
Now, if you say you're kind of talking about, the scoring format within IDP to make cornerbacks and defensive tackles and everybody else just as viable. So, but back when I started, it was all tackle heavy. So, the linebackers were the all-stars, I was a big Warren Sapp fan, though, because if you did happen to have that deep of a league that you had a defensive tackle, which really there wasn't a lot of people doing it back then. There was just DL or something. It's totally changed. The landscape of IDP has changed since then. But but you could get the number one. Warren Sapp was like number one defensive tackle to get back then. But you could get him like he was getting right before the kicker. You know what I mean? Because most leagues didn't really play him that much. So either way, London Fletcher, Derek Brooks, Urlacher, of course.
Yes. So I was just going to mention that. Do you remember Urlacher's game against, I think it was Arizona, where he had like 20 something combined tackles in one game? That I remember that was like somewhat early. I think, I don't know. I don't remember when that was. It was in my IDP career. And I just remember us all seeing this score in like, I think it was Yahoo, that was like, the highest IDP point total I'd ever seen in my life. And it was just because Urlacher had gone crazy.
Yeah. I can pull up his season. I can't pull up the best game, though. I think I remember that. Yep. I can't remember if I had him or anything like that. He started getting to the point where he was almost impossible to get.
Yeah. Well, Briggs was good too there. Remember, he was he was great too.
Yep. Yes, he was. You kind of they kind of stick out because you usually don't have a tandem that can do that. Those are kind of rare. We do have a few, but they're just not as many of them to pick from. But yeah, I mean, I don't know, Ray Lewis.
Yes, Ray Lewis. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, those guys were. And what's interesting, I think we can appreciate this. Some of maybe the newer players don't, but seeing the sons of guys that were studs for us.
Yeah.
Asante Samuel Jr., Antoine Winfield Jr. Like guys like that. Seeing that now, like I hate to admit it, but it's true. Like I naturally. I'm a sucker for that. Like I drafted so much Antoine Winfield Jr. just because of his dad. You know what I mean? Because his dad was a corner that scored like a safety for a decade, and that was insane. So I'm a sucker for that. It's pretty cool to see.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. I think like even like Grady Jarrett, I believe his dad played linebacker for Atlanta. If I remember right.
Yeah,
if I remember right. Yeah. Until two totally different positions, but it's kind of funny. It's kind of weird. I really like what was I going to say? I apologize, man. You got me going now. What were we talking about? Yeah. Well, what were you talking about?
Some of your favorite early IDP guys. Palomalu, he was good. He was fun.
I got a soft spot for Tillman.
Oh yeah.
He just got to the point where he was really, and then went and gave his life for the country. So but I get to have him in a couple of lineups there. You have those kind of memories and things like that. I guess that stick out to me at least.
Right. Yeah. There are certain guys that you're just always going to have a soft spot for and remember fondly. Yeah.
Right. I'd like to say some guys like I'm trying to think of some edge rushers or something from back in the day. I'd like to say, but I'd never played in leagues where DL mattered that much.
Right.
It took forever to get to the point where you were bringing up the defense to matter versus offense anyways. It was kind of the first IDP leagues that I was in for a few years. It was more like you just got a bunch of extra kickers. It's like, you're right. It's at the points where, it was 0.5 for an assist and 0.75 for a tackle or something. It wasn't anywhere on the radar with normal standard fantasy football on offense.
Right, and they didn't score as many things back then. So now we've got pass defenses and tackle for loss and stuff like that. Like that, we didn't used to look at that. It was tackle, assist, and like sack, and if they score a touchdown, you got that, and that was pretty much it. Interception too, maybe.
Right, right. And which just think, I mean, even when did Strahan play?
Yeah, I was thinking of that too. His record year was what, 2000. Oh boy, when was that? I'll look it up.
Yeah, but there were. I'm glad to see it, especially with the emergence of the edge rusher play. I mean, that's that I think that if you would ask me the same questions but restricted it to the last 10 years, then it would have got different answers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, I really, and back in those days, if you go and you look at London Fletcher and you look at Urlacher, right now the only guy I can comparably say could compare to them for years in, years out of producing would be Bobby Wagner at this point. But if you go back and look at London Fletcher, Urlacher, and these guys did it for year in, year out. Derek Brooks, I believe, did too. But there was a lot more of those guys. So. And, you're talking consistently averaging for 10, 12 years, even maybe 15 years, averaging triple-digit tackles, always being IDPL relevant. It's just that owning them was a great thing to do, but it versus the offense, it wasn't that exciting. So, yeah.
Right. It was definitely a different time. And you made a point about this too. The league was different. The passing was not nearly as prevalent as it is now. And now they got to have so many defensive backs on the field. You're lucky if you get one full-time linebacker and one guy that gets almost enough snaps that, he's like a decent LB3 or 4. It's just crazy how much has changed.
Yeah. I mean, it's evolved. That's all we can say is everything's just evolved, better or worse, however you want to look at it. It's just but if you want to play the game, you gotta evolve with it. There's no I just like all these things like Superflex and all this. I don't get into those types of leagues when they have those 2 starting quarterbacks and such, So I'm an old guy that I can evolve. But I've had my nose, you know me, John. I mean, I've never dabbled in the offensive side of the ball. And it's not because I don't know or couldn't do it. Because, of course, apparently I've had some kind of success because you don't win your leagues completely on IDP when you're in these deep leagues in offense. So, but at the same time, I've tried to dedicate what time I have to IDP. I'm just full-fledged, always been for it. The dirty O, hey, it is what it is. But I just kind of felt like I see everybody branching out. At times I'm like, well, man, should I be talking about, because I like basketball a little bit, should I? No, I'm not going to start dabbling NASCAR. Nah, I'm not going to start dabbling in anything.
It's interesting you mentioned that. That's the next question. So other sports you enjoy or other hobbies when you're not writing, ranking, and talking about fantasy football. Yeah. What do you do besides fantasy football? Not much. I know you, but what else is there? What do you do? What about basketball? You like it?
No, I got a bum knee, man. I used to play volleyball. I used to play like sand volleyball and stuff, but I might have hung out at a few bars that had volleyball teams. There are little places like that, stuff like that. I used to do that. Played some softball in the summer after high school and stuff. But that knee, it was my early 30s. I got tired. Every time that I wanted to play something, that it was just an instant. The next day or two, I'd have to ice my knee, and all this stuff. Yeah, it wasn't quite like back in the 80s. You didn't get your knee redone, and you were back on the field in a year. That's not how it works back then in the 80s. So it was more of a process. So, but it might never lingered, or my problem always lingered. They told me that it would probably last me 15 to 20 years, which has been a while back. So right now I'm supposedly walking around on a knee with borrowed time. So I might have quit just in time. I quit in my early 30s and really haven't. After that, I kind of picked up bass fishing. But the lake that I in the boat and everything is like farther away. I keep moving farther away from it. So I've kind of, yeah, really. So right now, what do? Let's see, my kids are all older. I'm relaxing. I get to do my football. So I'm perfectly fine with that and family life, you know?
Yeah, man. Yeah. What about others? Do you watch any other sports? So you mentioned NASCAR. I actually I enjoy NASCAR. So I used to be one of those Northeast elite people that was like, it's fucking stupid. You drive in circles. And then this dude told me, he's like, you go to one race with me and you'll never say that again. And I'm like, all right, well, I'll go. And we went and we sat in like the second row and you could put your hand up and catch rubber as they went around the turn. That's how close we were. And between, start your engines, the flyover, the national anthem, the bring your own cooler in, the crowd, the tailgating, the atmosphere, the crashes, the race, like I was fucking sold. I was sold.
Yeah.
Oh, it was so good.
See, I was going to say, me and the wife, I was in a kind of an NASCAR. That was the one thing my dad would watch on Sundays when he wasn't working. He would work, or I think it was Sundays mainly. Yeah. But he would, and I remember it was Winston Cup, remember back those days, back the 80s or whatever. So that was the one thing my dad did watch. So I grew up watching it, and me and the wife were into it. She was a Junior fan. I was, Dell fan. And then I always liked it. I had a Jeff Gordon crush there for a while, but it was funny because about the time that I started writing, which I don't know if I ever really I don't know if I finished that, but how I started writing was that a fella named John, or he's on Twitter.
Yeah.
He was a part of, at the time, he was like in charge of personnel or finding people or whatever it was he was a part of at the Dynasty Football Factory.
Yep.
He just reached out to me one day and asked me about writing. He said, "Hey man, you got an opinion? You want to try writing?" And lo and behold, I'm still here. So that's how I originally got into writing. It was just by a chance because I was really on Twitter just to look why the hell my fantasy league was shut down. And just started seeing people talking about playing and stuff. That's how I got involved in Twitter. So before that, I had no social network yet. So I had no use for it at the point in time. So, so rattling on. So I backed up. It got me, I'm lost now. So got myself lost. So, but I got that in there, how I started writing. Good shout out to John Orr. I really appreciate it. I owe you one. And I'm going to get going to get even. Huh?
Yeah, he's great. He's doing these best balls on MFL right now that I'm doing that are incredible.
John is?
Yeah, John Orr. Yeah, hit him up, man. $5 a pop, $10 a pop. At best ball on MFL. He's doing an all IDP one coming up here, and it's a beautiful thing. They're great.
Huh? Yeah, I used to play the 10 leagues. They still have those.
Yeah, I think this is based off of that format. Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah.
I haven't played for a while.
Yeah. So, okay. So that's two birds, one stone. So, occasionally watch some NASCAR. What about basketball?
Oh, yeah. That's what we were talking about. But so I don't watch NASCAR now though.
Okay.
I don't have time for NASCAR. I don't have time for much else to keep it is such a new crew. I mean, just in the last 6-7 years, you got Gordon's retired or whatever. It may be even longer than that. But Jimmy Johnson, he's not even driving anymore. Tony Stewart's, all those guys that I knew, and plus the older guys from before. So half the time I look on there and I just see their kids running around driving for them now. So except for the Eminem guy, what's number 18? What's his name?
Oh, I have no idea. I knew a few just from the names.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and we were rooting for Earnhardt Jr. with the race I went to. We went to Loudon in New Hampshire. That was a good
one. Yeah. Well, sweet. Now I don't know if I ever knew that, man. all the talking. I don't know if I knew you was a big NASCAR fan or not.
Oh no, I mean, you know, I probably watch it as often as you do, not that often, but
Oh, okay.
I went from having a negative opinion and being
Right.
uninformed to being a believer
Right.
after one
Right.
race, you know,
Right.
because yeah, I get it. On TV it is, you know, they're just going in circles, but when you're there, holy shit, the
Right.
atmosphere is crazy.
I bet. I bet. Yeah, I've never been. That'd be one of the few things I've never done. That'd be pretty cool to go to.
Yeah, good stuff, man. But
Yep.
all right,
Yep.
so and then obviously a big college football fan, Ohio State.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. Just don't ask me anything about them because at the moment I'm not brushed up on them, folks. I hate to say that. I kind of feel it's only happened over the last few years. You know, I don't have time. I don't have the brain power anymore, folks. It's not there.
Yeah. No.
To keep track of what I want to do in IDP and NFL, I can't do it. I don't see how everybody does it. I get so confused that these guys are this talented, that they're good at taking on basketball, baseball, you know, that just all, you know, multi sports and do it just by themselves. They're talented. I can't do it.
Yeah, it's too much. It's too much for me, man. I hear you. What about all right, so shifting gears here. What are some of like, I don't know, maybe 3 of your favorite movies all time?
3. Fast Times, Ridgemont High. Probably Risky Business. And the original Longest Yard.
Ooh, what was that in the 70s with Burt Reynolds, I think.
Yep,
Right?
yep, yep. Yeah, I was mad when Adam, what's his name? Damn it, made the remake.
Oh, Sandler with Chris Rock and
yeah. I like those guys, but I didn't like the movie. I didn't think it did.
Yeah, you can't mess with a classic.
Yeah, turned it too slapstick. There was enough slap. Yeah. That's about the 3. I can't see any recent ones, man. I'm not one. We go out and watch movies every once in a while. You know, we go see some movies, but not very often. I usually just, especially since COVID, you know, COVID changed a lot of things. So now we've formed these habits, and it's just easier to stay home. You know.
Yep. Oh yeah. Yeah. So what about TV? Because I'm sure the wife, you know, maybe forces you to watch some TV every now and then. What do you watch for TV?
You know, I mean, we're Walking Dead fans. I watch paranormal stuff. You know, our wedding anniversary, or not our wedding anniversary, our honeymoon, we spent at a haunted house. I think I've told you that before. Spent at a haunted house.
I did not know that. No. So tell me about this.
So we got married. We jumped in the car. We drive down to Kentucky. There's a haunted asylum down there. It's one of those old. It was from like the 40s and 50s when those people would die of the breathing problem. I can't remember.
Oh, with the iron lung. What was that? Tuberculosis, maybe?
Tuberculosis.
Like yeah.
So but this big asylum's down there, and we went toward it, and that was our honeymoon. We went down there and stayed for a couple of days. That was our honeymoon. We went through the haunted asylum with a small group in the dark. It was pretty cool. But anyways, I get that's about the highlight of it. I wish I could tell you I seen a big scary ghost or something, but I didn't. You know?
So I did something similar. So there was a ghost investigation I went to a few years back with this guy Orlando Ferreira, who was he was on, like, you know how A&E does those shows like Paranormal Investigation or whatever. So he was on one of those, and they like bought his footage off him from an investigation because there was so much crazy shit in it. And he gave like a demo with his equipment and talked about his investigations. And I walked in, same deal. This is a common theme with me. I think I know something, and I walk in there and I'm like, there's no fucking ghost. That's stupid.
Right.
Yeah, and then an hour later, I walk out and I'm like, I was wrong. I'm an idiot. There are definitely ghosts.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, like he put on a convincing demonstration.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I can remember the first time. I remember Ghost Hunters, the show Ghost Hunters was new. And it was really the first time I had ever seen a show about it. And they were in some lighthouse and a chair was moved and they had it on camera. And it just like, oh, wow. And then from that point on, I've spent a lot of time watching a lot of paranormal, videotapes and stuff on Travel Channel and such. I get into it. Ancient Aliens is one of my favorite shows. So, I've watched the season so many times. It's like if I want to take a nap, I just put it on and I'm out. But I mean, it's because I've watched them so many times. It's just the voice is so soothing. So but I do watch like some of the 911s with the wife, stuff like that. I do spend some quality family time. Have you checked out the new CBS show Ghost?
No, is that I think I might have heard about it though. Is it based
Yeah,
on
it's like
the movie with
no, not really. It's just houses these people are renting or they bought, and it's got some ghosts in it. But it's a a little comedy sitcom thing for a half hour or something. But we were kind of getting into that this past season. It's not on right now, I don't think, but it should be coming back. I thought it was kind of funny, so I just thought I was talking about paranormal, so it made me thought about that show being out. It was actually kind of funny. But
shit, we're on the topic, so let's go there. So do you think that there's alien life out there?
Yes.
Yeah, I do too. Mathematically there has to be. The universe is too big. Yep.
Yeah. It might be the size of the end of my finger, and
yeah,
only thing it's capable of doing is farting. I don't know, but the odds that there's not something out there is astronomically,
right,
crazy. So yeah,
right.
I'm a believer. There's something out there. We don't know.
I love that, man. And that's like, I've adjusted my expectations and my wishes as I've gotten a little older here. So like when I was a kid, I watched a lot of Star Trek. I was like, by the time I get old, we're going to have transporters and starships, and we're not going to have any of that shit. I would settle just to know the answer to that question one way or the other. And I'd like for us to get to Mars, and that's it. I'll take those two.
Yeah. I mean, it's so wild. Let me ask you this: how do you feel about the Bigfoot phenomenon or the Loch Ness monster? That's a whole nother side of paranormal.
It is. It is.
So,
it's
right. You got your ghosts, your aliens, and then your monsters, or
right.
Your folklore. I don't know how to say it. How do you feel about those?
I honestly don't know enough to have an informed opinion on either. I do know a guy that is convinced, and he spends a ton of time in the woods. He's got his own little camper.
Really?
And his idea of a good time is get the hell away from society for like a week or two and just go live in the woods. And he is convinced that there is a Bigfoot out there.
Right.
So I defer to his opinion. What do you think?
Well, I mean, I got to tell you before I forget, the funniest thing I've ever seen is this little comic about two Bigfoot hunters. One comes in on one side of the park, one comes in on the other side of the park. Both of them are standing on a hill. One of them starts that Bigfoot call, and they just sit there thinking each other's one. They keep calling back and forth. There was some kind of cartoon about that. But either way, when it comes to the animals, I'm going to rank these. Here it is.
Okay.
So I believe that there was a Bigfoot. Now I understand too that there are some Bigfoot theorists out there, at least, that think that these guys can actually fade in and out, and like they're in some kind of transport, or that I've seen some wild takes. Right. My thing is there's no bones. I'm one of those guys. If it's here on Earth, like give me some bones or something. I've seen some compelling, videos or whatever. It's hard not to be like, wow, what is that? Especially like they've been showing a lot lately of coming up with stuff in the ocean and locks and stuff and all these big. I have to rank them third. I have a harder time. I want to see some skeletal remains or something if it's something bodily here. Now, ghost, that's not really bodily on. So I'd have to put ghost number one. I like if I got to rank, I'm going to go one, and then of course, which is funny because the probability of alien life to me is probably I have to put it number one. It's probably the biggest one to be true.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that one's very likely true, right? And then and then ghosts, a lot of people are just like, nope, non-starter, and it can't be a thing. But I've seen things that are unexplainable other than it must be an echo of someone else that used to be alive but isn't. And what is that? That's a ghost.
Right.
So
you say you've seen?
Well, I mean, not personally, but I've seen evidence of. So
I was making sure.
Oh, no. I'd tell you if I did. But this dude brought in his audio and video recordings, including thermal and IR recordings from this house that this lady had claimed was haunted, and hired his team to investigate. And he presented us his findings. That was the thing I went to. It was an hour of him presenting his findings on this house. And some of the IR video. Oh, dude. Some of the IR stuff that he showed us, the infrared stuff, like unexplainable other than it had to be some kind of ghost or something. And then the audio recordings, that's the stuff these things are like using an electronic frequency that
EVP.
EVP, and they're saying things that no one could know other than a dead person that used to live there.
Yeah. It's pretty wild. You can see some that you're like, I don't know about that, but there's so much out there that is so compelling. It's some wild evidence. It's kind of hard to ignore. So I'd like to experience it myself when it comes to a ghost thing. I'm probably never going to meet an alien. So, and I really don't want to meet Bigfoot. So if I'm going to take something on, I want it to be a ghost. That's, so we've talked about, as a matter of fact, I know you're in Ohio right now. But up there towards you from where we're at, I think it's Mansfield. You have the Mansfield Penitentiary up that way. I think they have tours. They're apparently haunted or supposed to be haunted or something. It's a really old reformatory. It looks like, it's a castle looking stuff. And then let's see, I think there's a couple bed and breakfasts up that way. There might be haunted houses that you can stay at, because we were looking at it when we went to the expo last year. We were looking at a couple of those things, but the way it worked out, we weren't able to stay there, so they were booked up. But either way, I'd like to see it, boo. I might shit myself. But I like to see something, man. I like to know.
Yeah, that's part of the experience is shitting yourself, right?
Right. Yeah. If you didn't shit yourself, it wasn't good enough.
That's right. Yeah.
Right. Well, so I could spend the rest of my life going, did I really see that? Right?
Yeah.
Did I really see that? Was that? Because you'll never see it again, probably. I don't know. That would be interesting. It cracks me up on some of these shows. There's one of the shows that I watch, and they're always going through the paranormal tapes and stuff, and then they have the people break in that are kind of like gurus of ghosts or something, or paranormal stuff, and they get to say something, and it's like this one girl, she just always, oh yeah, I've seen this. Oh yeah, I've seen this. Girl's like 22 years old, and she's seen everything in the world. I've seen this before, or has an explanation. It's like, how do you know about all this? Whatever. You're 22 years old, but it's so funny. I just cracking up on the show.
Yeah. No, they're good. They're entertaining shows, no doubt.
Right,
no doubt.
Right. Yeah.
All right, so we're shifting gears real quick here, going back and forth. So your Mount Rushmore of IDP greats. So we'll do everything except corner. So your greatest DT ever, DE ever, linebacker ever, and safety ever for all of IDP history. For you, your choice.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be by the numbers or anything. Just who I've always.
Yep.
Man, yeah. I'd have to go linebacker. I'm going to stick with London Fletcher. I'm going to stick old school. I got to.
Love that.
Just a massive producer. I mean, he was underrated. The guy was like 5'2". Yeah, they always, believe he went. If I remember, his like story was, you'll never play in the pros because you're too short. And then the guy went on to be like a Hall of Famer, all pro. I think he had triple digit tackles for like 12 years in a row.
Yeah.
Something like that. It's crazy. I mean, that's impossible. You're not going to see that nowadays. That's for sure. Not even close to that. So it just can't happen. I mean, look at Bobby Wagner. Bobby Wagner's been one hell of an IDP play for the last few years. Kuechly was, but then he retired, so that kind of ended his streak. But yeah, I'm going to go with London Fletcher, man. I'm going to give the old school a little shout out.
I love that. I love that. How about a safety? It could be any era, any safety, any era. Just your favorite. They're going up on Mount Rushmore.
Due respect would be Tillman, but I can't do that. I'm going to go with Dawkins.
Yeah, that's a good answer.
I always enjoyed owning him to watch him play. He's like one of those guys to root for, as he played. So,
yep, for a long time too. Yeah. Yeah, he was real good. What about defensive end? Who is your most favorite IDP defensive end all time?
Wow, man, that's tough.
Everyone said JJ Watt so far that I've had on the show.
See, that's it. Yeah, I mean, it's not that I'm not into edge rushers or defensive ends. It's just like favorite defensive end.
Yeah,
wow.
It's
I don't have one, man. I mean, do I have to? I can't force it.
Okay, no worries. What about a DT? Do you have a DT that comes to mind? Like Snaps, maybe?
Yeah, or Sap.
Sap, yep.
Sap. Probably Sap. I mean, of course, I love Buckner now, but I mean, we're talking, somebody I enjoyed at the time. Overall, I see Sap. Yeah.
Love that. That's a new answer. Everyone said Donald so far, so it's nice that we have something different.
Yeah, it's you said Mount Rushmore, right?
Yeah, no, I love that. I love that.
Right. If you look at Sap's numbers, man, I mean, he's not Arnold.
Oh yeah,
but there's two different. They're not technically playing the. See, Aaron Donald's technically a defensive end too.
Right.
So
and Sap was different. He played a different role, and he impacted the game as much as Donald did, or damn near close to it.
Yeah, he did for years too. So yep. Okay, I feel good with the answer then, Sap.
Good answer. How about this? So what's something hard you've overcome in life, and what did it teach you? So you've already mentioned a couple of things. The knee. What comes to mind when you think about this?
Oh, probably the most recent, with Michelle being diagnosed with breast cancer a couple years ago. I think that, it kind of is compiled. That was the main part of it. But I mean, over the last 10 years, I lost my mother. She was only in her mid 60s, so it was early, I guess you could say. I lost my son Garrett to a fentanyl overdose. He was 22 at the time. And all this has been in the last 10 years, actually. It was 10 years ago, my mother passed away. And then my son passed away a couple of years later. And then looking at her family, we've just recently lost her sister in the last few years to a different type of cancer, and just lost her mother in the last 2 years. So my mother-in-law. But with all of this compiled on top, in seeing how close it was that I could have lost Michelle, my wife. It was very overwhelming at one point. I remember, when she was in surgery, and she had to take the things out of her arm because they had showed for cancer along with the breast. And it just, life is fragile, You know, you take it for granted when you're younger, and it just gets a lot more relevant when you get older. And I think that time period and the scared that I could lose my wife. I think that overall would probably be my toughest time ever.
Yeah, and I think, correct me if I'm wrong here, but maybe what you've taken out of that is what you just said, that life is fragile and it's important to enjoy every
Yeah.
minute, right? To really cherish the time we do have, because we forget about that shit so easy,
Yeah.
like we get all caught up with our bullshit and we forget that that's the important stuff, spending time with
Right.
loved ones and family and really enjoying life. Like that's what
Yeah.
it's about.
Well, and I think it's something that just comes with age with a lot of people too. So it's not my son; he's 20. So we start trying to get conversations going with him. Come on, eat with us and stuff. And it just to spend time with him, and he
Yeah.
does, but he gets it too because it's just to chat it up, just to get those few more minutes of talking. Instead of everybody's got their faces in some kind of technology right now. You're either looking at your phone, you're looking at your computer, or something. So it's precious. It's very fragile, and you just don't know, how quickly one thing can change it all. Like I said, I've also seen her sister get cancer, and she was gone in just a few years. My mom got Alzheimer's dementia. She was gone just in a few years. Her mother got sick and was gone in just less than 6 months, I guess you could say. So yeah, it's fragile, folks. Hold on to it. Family does matter.
That's it, man. That's a good
Yep.
message. It's a good message. So this is definitely shifting gears off of that, but stupid early prediction time. You ready for stupid early predictions?
We'll see.
Okay, so let's start with who you got at who you think the number one is going to be at each IDP position this year. And this is just your guess. So if you had to pick an inside linebacker to be the top guy, to be this year's Foye Oluokun, who's it going to be?
Ooh, okay, all right, because you threw in his name real quick there, so I was just getting ready to go with the obvious.
So everyone has said Roquan so far. That seems to be the safe bet, is Roquan.
Yeah, and it's exactly who I was going to go, but as soon as you said his name, because if we've noticed something, there's always a Foy's aid or whatever, somebody coming up from behind. So
right,
you're talking about Smith and Leonard right there together. So, but I think I'm going to go with Smith too.
Yep,
I think I'm just going to go with Smith too. I mean, it's kind of a safe bet.
It's an extremely safe bet, and it's the bet I made as well. And this is probably a safe bet too, but pass rush linebacker. So this year's TJ Watt, who do you think?
This year's TJ Watt. TJ Watt.
Yeah,
right.
It's TJ. Right. Yeah. Okay. How about defensive end? This one we could probably have a few options. So it's who do you think?
Man, I'm a Myles Garrett fan. I can't get it. I would stay with Myles Garrett. I don't know how to get away from that.
Yeah. Oh, I'm with you. So it's been pretty much split, half Garrett, half Nick Bosa. I'm on the Garrett side, I think. So I'm with you. Oh, definitely. Yeah. And then defensive tackle. What do you think? Is this still Donald, or does Buckner break through this year? Or what do you think?
I don't see. I love Donald. He just falls in that position where I'm not looking at him as a defensive tackle so much. With them included. Yeah, definitely. You got to go Arnold. But if you took him out, then it would be just default would be Buckner. So to me, at this point.
Okay, what about Jeffrey Simmons? Do you think he takes a step, or Quinnen? Do you think either of them take a step forward to get to that tier this year that those guys are in? Or
I think Simmons is that close. Yes, I think Simmons is that close, and Simmons should definitely be in that top 3 at this point. I think he really kind of proved a little more last year.
Oh yeah.
So I think so he's not done yet. So Then now that you brought him up, because Buckner kind of a little bit on the downslide, so
Yeah.
that's a tough
Yep.
one there. I don't know if it's how they ran that scheme in Indianapolis last year or what, but yeah, it's kind of, I don't know. They was able to key off a little bit better on Buckner for some reason. Something happened. We'll see.
Yeah, no, he did have a bit of a down year, that's for sure. But
Mm,
yeah, I'm sure he'll be okay. What about
yeah, it happens.
what about safety? I've gotten all different answers on safety. No one can agree on this. What do you think?
Rephrase the question. What's in it?
Okay, so who do you think's going to be the #1 safety, IDP safety this year?
Number
So far,
one, like in a balanced format.
Yeah,
Jonathan Abram.
I like that. I love that answer. He was on his way to being #1, except they got dinged a little bit last year. He was having a great season. Season. Yeah. And
I'm just going to throw it out there.
I love that. I love that.
I mean, we get Perriman up there. You got, Brown. Yeah, I think he'll be all right.
Yeah. Okay, that's a great answer. And then your favorite. What about corner? Who are you taking at corner 1 this year?
I actually have one of these, but it's going to kind of run into, I think, something that you're going to ask me about coming up. Right now, if Minnesota Vikings Bynum Cameron.
Oh, yes, Cam Bynum.
Yeah, Cam. Yeah. I've wrote about him. I brought him up last year when he stood in a little bit. He's got breakout written all over him, folks. So especially if you can get him at a cornerback play, he's probably going to be playing safety. And as a safety in that, he should hold a lot of really nice value. He's got a lot of upside to break into an upper tier 2 to maybe a tier 1 play.
Oh, yeah. I love that. I love that. And you're right. Those 2 games he played last year, he went fucking nuts, first of all. Yeah. And didn't I mean, Smith is still there. He got extended, but who was the other guy? Was it Woods that left, or
Xavier Woods, which I was a big fan of Xavier Woods signing there last year too. So
he had a great season.
Yeah, and quietly.
Right. Very.
I love this signing coming in. We'll probably be John's coming on getting defensive tomorrow night, so we might be talking about this guy. But Xavier Woods, I like that signing in Carolina.
Oh yeah,
I think we're going to see a little bit of a change there in how they use Chin again this year. I think with bringing in Woods as a true free safety, Chin. We're not going to see Chin deep on the field like that. I think we're going to see him more up in the box, boxing, whether it's at some kind of hybrid linebacker, nickel. I don't know what to call him anymore. He's going to be on the field up a little closer to the box. I think that the Woods signing took care of that. Nice. It's the only thing makes it. I think Woods is going to be able to produce still up there. I think he's going to be all right too. But yeah, I like Cam. We're in the middle of our IDP incentive. John's part of the league, Gridiron Ratings League. And I just got sniped. on him on like 2 picks ago. He got picked right before my pick. I had one guy in my quill, and that was that Bynum. And I talked to the guy. I was like, even sent him a trade offer and stuff. He refused it. Oh, but I look at his roster, and I think I don't know this for a fact because I didn't ask him. But sometimes I wonder when us writing articles just is like showing like playing poker with your hand turned the other way through the cards. Right. Because when we write about this stuff, and then we have people in leagues with us that we might be reading our content.
This is true, man. This is true.
Yeah,
and part of the deal. I love that pick. I think that's the best answer I've gotten on that so far. That's a great answer.
Cool.
What about, okay, so stupid early Super Bowl. Who you got in the Super Bowl and who wins? What's weird is everyone I've asked this so far, so you're the third interview, have all said Rams from NFC, but no one can agree on AFC.
Yeah, I mean, you got to go. I'm going to go Rams, but I'm going to jump off the limb here. I'm going to go with the Bengals. I'm going to stick with the
Ooh,
Bengals.
I like that.
I like
I
the
like
Bengals.
that.
Yeah.
A true rematch for the first time since
Yeah.
Dallas Buffalo,
Yeah.
92, 93.
Yeah. I mean, why not? I think that's more of the reason to look at it like that is listen, why not the Bengals again? You know?
Yeah, they haven't lost anything really, and they're fixing
Yeah.
their offensive line, which is their biggest glaring weakness,
Yep.
right? So
Yep.
why not? Yeah,
Yep. Yep. Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, they're still sitting so pretty on. I was kind of shocked that they moved on from their tight end. What was it?
Oh,
Husamajana or whatever.
Uzama. Yeah,
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 I was kind of shocked that they moved on from him. But I
yeah.
mean, who they got? Hurst now? Hayden
I don't,
Hurst maybe might have
I
come
don't.
over from Atlanta and signed with them.
Yeah, I don't even know, but yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
mean
think so.
they still got plenty of firepower. So yeah,
Yeah, right. Yeah, I like it. I like it. Mixing back here and stuff. So they fixed that
yeah.
line. I mean, there's nothing to like. They haven't lost anything on defense at all. Once they re-signed Bates, you got Bates, Bell. Everybody's returning except for one defensive lineman. They re-signed B.J. Hill
Yeah.
and Reader, but there was one Larry Ola something.
Oh, Ogunjobi. Yeah,
Yeah. I think he went to Chicago. But
yeah,
other than that, they're bringing back the same defense, and that I mean, formidable young defense, really.
yeah,
So,
yeah. They played well. Yeah, yeah.
so
So
why not the Bengals?
I like that. Okay, and that's an original answer. I'll take that. Repeat Super Bowl. How about so if you won the Lotto tomorrow, what would you do? Would you keep writing or would you hang it up?
Nah, I mean, I don't know. I don't think that I could not do it right now. I mean, I'm sure at some point I'm getting older. I'm getting to the point where I don't enjoy it quite as much as often. Sometimes it does seem. Of course, you know this too. It seems like tedious work. You
Uh
know, for little in return. Sometimes, you know what I mean.
yeah, yeah.
So, but I think I would. What would be funny? I think at this point, just the way that I am, I probably want to continue and just start sinking my own cash into advertisement, just all the things to make the best top notch and go run. It's still it's a business. When you have a site. So if I could invest in that, and make it better, quicker, then I definitely would do that. I know that much. So actually
Nice.
hire editors, hire all these things that pay them good money, here, do all this for us here. Make this a good site.
That, hey, no, that reinvest in yourself. I like that.
Right,
Yeah.
right, right.
Yeah, good stuff. Okay, so this is a little weird one, but I love this question. So, if you could travel in time to see one event in history, what would it be and why? And this could be major historical event, this could be personal event, whatever. You get to play tourist for one day and see anything in history. What's it going to be?
Hmm. Well, it wasn't change anything. So just to experience,
Yep.
probably first thing popping in the head is probably Woodstock
Ah, I love that.
for a day or two or three. How long
Yeah,
was it? It was a
yeah,
long time.
yeah, I think it might have been 3 days, but that is
Yeah,
a great answer. That is a
yeah,
great answer.
yeah. Might as
Yeah.
well enjoy yourself, right?
Yeah, shit, that would be memorable. That's for sure.
Yeah, yeah. I would. I could imagine. I could imagine.
Good
Well,
shit, man.
cool, man.
So, all right, we're at the home stretch here. So, favorite football memory?
Playing or watching?
Watching.
Oh, as a former Chargers fan, uh, LaDaine Tomlinson's,
Ooh,
anytime that he got a touchdown. I mean, anytime, just
yep,
that little flip of the ball at the end,
yes.
yeah, he was probably the biggest highlight, actually. I mean, as I don't know if I finished that earlier. I originally was a Chargers fan. I bailed on them after years after becoming a Chargers fan back in the early 80s. So I bailed on them when they moved, though. I'd had enough of the ownership. That's really all it boiled down to. I mean, give me some credit. I made it through the Ryan Leaf years. So without shooting myself, no pun intended, but just it was terrible. So and I'm wasn't a big Schottenheimer fan either. I think that he could have done a lot better with what he had. But Dane Thomas, anytime, between him or watching Gates emerge, Gates was. I mean, before Gates was Shannon Sharp. Other than that, tight end wise, I mean, just to watch a big guy move like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, him and Tony G and Shannon Sharp were the guys that kind of transformed that position. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. How about favorite non-football memory?
Well, if my wife's watching, it was certainly when we got married.
That is funny you mentioned that, because everyone that I've asked this to that's married has said that, and they've said, I'm afraid my wife might be watching. That's been 100% of answers so far.
Hey man, you got to be smart about it. You got to think this out a little bit, and that's kind of a no-brainer, right? So I'm still thinking, but nope, that's definitely it.
Okay, safe answer. Safe answer. I like that.
Right.
All right, last few. So typically for you, so in a normal 1 QB, pretty even offense, pretty even defense, IDP offense league, just the normal kind of spiel. What's your strategy for the most part? Are you a draft linebacker first guy, a draft defensive end, defensive tackle first guy? All things being equal, how do you like to play it usually?
Well, the first thing I do is I always make sure I have my offensive starting lineup drafted first.
Yep.
Well, I love all the names. I love Darius Leonard. I love Devin White. I love all those names, but I don't have to own them to win.
Right.
So I'm going to go ahead and fill out my offensive guys. So once that starts, then I'm hoping to have somebody with edge rusher DL wise, depending on your positions that you're looking at. I'm going to look at the scarcity level or scarcity of each one. And so the first thing I'm going to look at and see if there's any viable defensive linemen that I really want, that one of these top 5, top 10 guys. Hopefully, like I said, I might miss out, but I know I can possibly stream these a little bit later. But if they're there, I'm going defensive line off the top. If it's not there, then I'm going to go linebacker, probably, even in a balanced format, which is pretty much, I think, the standard anymore, at least in less newer leagues. And I mean, my approach automatically is just plan on if there's any designated cornerbacks, they're getting streamed. If it's a defensive back position, I'm definitely going to use all safeties.
Yep.
Unless it's like some kind of advantage, like a Bynum type thing.
Yeah,
but, it just depends on the settings. But in defensive tackle, I mean, defensive tackle could fit in there in with linebacker, depending on what defensive tackle it is.
Right. If you can get one of the top guys, get it. If you can't, you can wait, because there's such a fucking cliff after the first few that it's like, well, I missed them, I'm fucked. I can wait another 10 rounds. Right.
Exactly. And I mean, when you get past those, it's just to the point where there's plenty of guys there, and especially if you're playing the matchups each week, and you can. You'll learn to work the waiver wire and have the right guys at the right time. That's how I'm going to approach it, though. Definitely offense first, and I'm going to look for those scarcity plays and see. And then if those are all done and gone out of the top 5 or so, then I'm going straight to linebacker and try to get the stability part of it, where I can get a solid 12 points every week or something. Consistency.
Yeah, I love that. And I've had all similar answers so far. I think we've all learned over the years what works and
Right.
what doesn't, and we're all pretty much. That's why it sucks being in leagues with all you guys, because we're all doing the same shit.
Right.
So
Right.
it's like it's
Right.
you know, painful sometimes.
Yeah, it's kind of like button heads a little bit, right? And it's
It,
another thing, you know, it's the development of the edge rusher position. I'm really hoping that some of these sites like MFL or some of these other ones, they actually go on and go to true designation
oh
to
yeah,
where we get rid of that defensive tackle and go IDL would be great. You know what I
yep,
mean? And edge rusher would be great. You know, just separate a couple of those little patches up over the next couple of years. But it's been an evolving issue or evolving thing over the last few years, just like the NFL's been evolving. So we've all had to kind of because I used to be. I think when we first met, I was really into edge rushers, but I wasn't necessarily up to bringing their points sacks up. I was still a tack heavy favorite kind of guy. I preferred the tack, you know, it was kind of hard. But like I said, I just recently started writing before I met you for a year or two or whatever it was. So I was, you know, kind of stuck in my ways. But then getting out and being in a community, seeing other leagues, especially, I'll tell you what's been one of the most eye opening things to me as a person that you mentioned. I'll answer your DM if we're off season. Um, you know, during the summer, whatever, you hit me up on Twitter. I'll be more than happy to help out all I can. You know, in season, I'm kind of locked down a little bit with
oh
membership
yeah,
stuff, but you know, that's how that is. But if you, what I like to do is, if at all, especially if it's on Sleeper or if it's on my fantasy football league, which Sleepers I'm getting used to, John. I know you're not a huge fan there, but I'm getting used to just after switching last year. But I love, especially on MFL, have them give me the link. And if it's a public league, I can check out the link and check out the starting and see what the trends are. And then
right.
I'll ask, how old's this league? You know what, you know, just find out all the information. You kind of start collecting that and you kind of start getting the feel. And then I met you, and we were always, I think we talked about the edge rushers back in the day too. You know, it's just kind of one of those evolving things we were pulling for. But I guess the point of my thing is it's changed for me. I've had to learn a little bit over the, you know, the different concept. I was being a little bit stubborn on my approach, but you know, I moved along. I moved along here. I think I'm caught up with the young crowd now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I love that. I agree with everything you said, right? Like there are ways to play smarter, not harder. And
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, so I'm with you. Okay, this next segment I call hot water. I think you're gonna like this. So what's your favorite platform and why?
Well, my fantasy league.
Yeah.
It's just it. I've been playing on there since early 2000s, I believe, something like that, mid 2000. I don't know, to early 2000s. I love how deep it goes. I was a commissioner, so for like 10 years on a dynasty league, and it just learned so much. I just love the format. It's a good solid. It's not a good app. Don't think about the app. But for on laptops or computers or whatever, I even use a browser on my phone, which
Yeah.
drives some people nuts. But I love my fantasy league.
Yeah, it really is the best site. It allows you to do the most, and you can do it on your phone. You just got to tinker a little bit and
Yep.
get used to it, and you'll be fine. But
Yep.
you know,
Yep.
that's not this era.
Right.
Okay,
Right. That's what it's all about. That's it. The explosion of Sleeper and everything else is the, you know, simple app thing. Get a slapper in there and get her done.
right, and that's the thing. Like that's great for people that are looking for that. I could give a shit about that. I'm looking to
Yeah.
get better. I'm looking
Right.
to get better so I can win more. So
Right.
so I can have more titles, more trophies, more money.
Yeah.
And I don't get better by playing some watered down fucking fruity sleeper bullshit with DBs and DLs. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
baby IDP is not making me better.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I don't need the
Yeah.
robots. I
Yeah.
need to improve.
Yeah, yeah, and you know, I do those tipster leagues where I have like 3 or 4 leagues a year. I invite new people, hopefully getting a lot of new people that haven't played before IDP, and I try to bring them into what you would say young IDP experience, but one with a full complement of IDP positions to play. So I'm trying to attract. So yes, I used to have them on ESPN, and now I just moved to Sleeper. So, but yes, I mean, I play deep leagues. That's all, I mean, I don't know. I couldn't even imagine going back and playing in a league that you had like 3 IDP or something. I couldn't have fathomed that. So either way, I mean, I'm into the deep leagues and stuff, but I'm hoping that, and it has. I've met a lot of people. I've actually got a lot of people that I talk to every week, and I've been doing it for a couple of years now. And members of Gridiron Ratings are just friends and folks that reach out to me because of the content. So, man, it's great. It's great. It's
Yeah. And you got a point. If you are new and you're looking to dip your toes into the water, that is a great league. That's a great platform for that. And that's just not me. So that's why it's not my cup of tea. But it does have its value. Yeah.
That's well, you get what you pay for. So when you get that app, you get just so much general stat information and quality of delivery of the product. You know what I mean? So I know MFL didn't have trolls at the top of their screen for you to pick them.
Right. Very important. Very important. Yes.
Right.
So while we're on hot water topics, what's your take on fantasy Twitter?
Oh, man. I've done so good, John, to keeping my mouth shut for a couple of years and staying out of hot water on Twitter.
Well, you can. I'm not forcing you to give up that streak.
No. I mean, Mom always told me if you didn't have something nice to say, blah blah blah. But
yeah,
it's watered down. I mean, it's so freaking watered down. It's just, if we're talking about Twitter in particularly, I mean, I've thought about actually trying to maybe move the brand over to. Personally, my brand over to something else. I can't read a lot of the comments that are going on. People are cutthroat. I don't know, man. It's gotten so watered down. I don't know if it's just become one of those situations where everybody feels like they're drowning, so they feel like that they have to.
They got to do crazy shit to get noticed. It's wild. Like in general, that's a trait of the younger generation in general, where it's like, so when I got my first job / any job, it was show up on time, do what you're told, keep your fucking mouth shut, and eventually you'll be allowed to speak, and eventually you'll move up. Eventually you'll have power and respect and all those things that come with putting the work in first and then getting the reward second, which is traditionally how this works. And that's not so much what it is anymore. I'm here now, so instantly I get everything, and that's not how it works. I've never asked for followers. I don't whore myself out to people or try and get attention. I just put out good content every year, no matter what. And it's going to be a slow grind, and I'm fine with that because that's how you're supposed to do it.
Yeah. And we've talked about it before. I think we've said stuff over the years. I mean, it's about the grind and the content. It's not about Twitter. It's actually about Google, to tell you.
Honest. Yeah, and that's a great point. That's a great point. Yeah.
If you're letting, I mean, back in the day, I stuck my foot in my mouth a few times, and I felt like I was done wrong, and all this other stupid shit, whatever you want to call, happened. But at the same time, I mean, I just sit back now and just sit back. It almost seems like. Well, I watch football. I got an opinion, so I'm just going to do this without any really proving that you're any good at it.
Right.
Does that make sense?
It does make sense. So my proof is there. It is my pinned tweet. It's all my titles. It's my Yahoo rating. It's transparency on all the picks I make, what I got right, what I got wrong. It's all there because everyone should have that as part of their deal here. Like, do I want to read something from a guy that's never fucking won anything in his entire life? Like, no, no. And that's everyone. And in another great point you made, Google is what it's all about, right? So I look at our site traffic, and I'm sure yours looks very similar. A smattering comes from Twitter. On a busy day in September, week 2 or 3, it's 15 people from Twitter and hundreds, if not thousands, from Google.
Yeah. I mean, you know, you're talking about how it is. I mean, we just seen it with the passing of Hawkins. You know, it's too bad what Adam Schefter said. I think it was him, right?
Yeah. Yep.
It's too bad. The wording, he was completely wrong. I'm not defending that, but I think it was more because it carried on the bitching and everything about the whole. It was a misfortune thing to happen. We shouldn't have been concentrating on that as much as we were. You know, I mean, yeah, he realized he messed up. You know, once that point was put across, it didn't seem like fantasy Twitter could let it go, and it's just part of their problem. You can't let it go, and if it does get let go on any topic, then usually somebody will pick a fight. Oh yeah, it's got to get going again. It can't stop. So.
I hear you, man. And I find myself, and I'm sure you might be doing this as well, spending less and less time in fantasy Twitter. And the time I do spend there, I'm just talking to the people I like. Everyone else I've got muted. I'm not following. They're blocked. I don't give a shit. Like I don't need them in my lives. You know, I'd rather watch a funny cat video than read some fucking idiot's dynasty tight end rankings. I don't give a shit.
No. Yeah, I mean, you know, considering me and you've been around the block. I mean, you've been with the IDP guys all this time. I've been, you know, with you guys in a couple other places. So gotten to see a lot of different views from a lot of different back rooms, I guess you could say. And it's a trip. It's a trip on how things work out. You know, it's just, I don't know. I'm glad I met Jeff. I'm glad I'm with Gridiron Ratings. You know, if not, I probably would have to continue to have my own site. To tell you the truth, I don't know. It's a trip.
Yeah, it is, man. But hey, I'm glad at least, you know, for all the bad, there's a lot of good too, right? Like, so I met you and Kyle and Joey and, you know, Z-Bags and all the big 3 guys. And, you know, even beyond that, just the guys that are in our leagues all the time, the listeners, the guys that read, Sean, Brian Serrano, Ivan Neal, Peter Randall, you know, just our readers, the guys that, you know, throw us a DM after the season and say, thanks, man, you helped me win. You know, like that's the good shit.
Yep. Yeah, it is. I mean, I've loved it. I don't know. I could honestly tell you now. I could tell you that I'd still be playing probably, but I don't know what I would be doing right now if I wasn't like writing and doing content for, of all things, IDP, defensive side of fantasy football, the redheaded stepchild. You know. Yeah. So I'm all excited because I'm going to try to dip my toes more into the. I mentioned to you the prop bets and stuff for IDP. You know, DraftKings got some things going and stuff. I'm going to dabble into that just to broaden my horizons within my lane. I try to
let's talk about that because that's the next question. Any upcoming projects? So I mean, I assume you're doing a lot of the same stuff this year, but what's new? What are you doing different this season?
Well, I mean, from a personal aspect of, you know, from what I'll be concentrating on. Is definitely getting a little bit more involved in the you know bets, the daily bets, the game betting, you know, the prop bets, point spreads. I dabbled into it, applied some of the stuff that I use in my start sit charts. I actually tested it at the beginning of the season, but you know, I wasn't disappointed, but I wasn't ready to announce everything out loud. So towards the end of the year, I felt kind of comfortable. We had quite a few, I guess you could say, trends and statistics that could help. They kind of leveled out. So I did start announcing them, went 5 for 6 on with 5 for 6 on out loud calls that I made. So I plan on dipping into that. I'm talking to Justin Barnes, a good friend of ours. He's from Getting Defensive from last year and such. He's going to be coming back on. He's at Roto Heat now. I think it's Roto Heat. Forgive me, Justin, if I said the wrong one. But just really want to start diving into it and get a more secure feeling on offering IDP, prop bets or whatever, and win a little bit of money in the process.
Yeah, and sports betting just went, or it's it got passed in Ohio. They opened the casino out here. They're by football season, we'll be ready to rock on FanDuel, DK, all that. Like, it's gonna ramp up out here, something wild. And let me coming from a state where we got it right before football season hit last year. It changes everything, and for the better. It is fucking great.
Yeah. Ohio is always slow. Ohio's behind on everything, but we eventually get there, I guess. But I'm excited about it. I think what we can apply. The one thing I don't understand, I'm going to have to learn, is I see some doing it, mainly the professionals, like on TV or something, but they'll have to go through every point spread, and I'll have to make a call on every point spread. And I'm thinking, why would you want to do that? Why would I couldn't do that? I'm looking for ringers. I'm looking for winners. If I lose, I want to feel like, man, that was like totally messed up. You should have never lost. Not, oh, well, this is what I'm going to take, and I'm going to take the chance that I'm going to win. So, but I'm not a huge gambler. I like playing poker and stuff but I'm not one to go and spend $100 at the casino either. So it's not me, which some people spend a lot more than that. So. But either way, but this whole IDP betting, I think I might know a little bit about it. And I think I might be able to fine tune this and at least have a winning percentage out of the deal. And I'm looking forward to working with Justin, and I'm hoping to get with you and talk to you about this, and maybe we can all, all of us older veteran guys because you're a veteran now, dude, if you don't believe it or not. So we'd all get together and we kind of put our heads together and compare notes. And even though we're all three we're all three doing our own thing. We all have our own sites. Well, we're all friends, so there's no reason that we can't work together and come out ahead. I'm looking forward to that.
Absolutely, man. That's going to be great. I am really looking forward to that. And I was telling, so I did a DFS show with Adam from Big Three last year, and about halfway through the season, we realized, like, man, this is not as much fun as it used to be, because there's so many people playing DFS now that it's like a razor thin margin to be profitable. And betting is not like that at all. You just got to beat the house, man. You just got to beat the spread over or under, right? Like, especially with IDP prop bets on tackles, like that's our bread and butter, man. Like we know when a game script is going to line up for, fucking take Crowder to get 10 tackles or something. Yep. Like we know that's coming.
So this is the part that we have to figure out too, that I was going to bring up when we do get together, is we got to be able to help people, but only to a point. So how do you do that? How do you present, or do you just make the calls and go on and assume that the people are that you know what you're doing? I guess I got to trust you, because you surely don't give out your whole process, right?
Yeah. So so I was thinking, I attach like a rating system to my corner streams, right? So maybe something similar to that. Like if you feel real comfortable about it, it's like green, and if you feel okay about it, it's like blue, and or something like that. Yeah.
Well, see, then I run into that problem there where I'm only going to pick greens.
Yeah.
Only one. I'm not going to force anything. You know what I mean? If it's not, I'm not going to go just to. I feel there's kind of like advice. Sometimes we see it on Twitter where a question is asked and people will give advice just to give advice, not necessarily to be helpful. Just get their name out there. You know what I mean? So it doesn't necessarily mean they know what they're talking about. So I can't wait. This is going to be cool. Hoping to have something special come. I'm not going to say the name out loud. I got another. We possibly got another sort of live podcast thing maybe in the works. So, but I'm not going to jinx it.
Nice. Yeah. Anything you want to plug this season? So that's still on the burner, but anything you want to plug coming up this year?
Oh man, just a gridiron rating site. It all together. You know, we're just growing. Everything's growing. Everything's getting in place, and I think more so. I want to take this opportunity. If any of you happen to be listening, we do really appreciate our members. And all the support that anybody has given us over this last year or two at Gridiron Ratings. So, we're on our way. We're here for you. We just know we appreciate you.
Awesome, man. Love that. So, all right, last one. We'll get you out of here on this. So this is a weird question, but I do need to ask everyone this. Do you think that maybe most road rage is because someone needs to take a crap?
Yeah, it's a very good possibility. I believe they had a study of Maryland. I think they had a study of Maryland, but then they found out the state was overqualified with candidates. So they had, I don't know, man. I don't know. I think road rage is just fun.
There you go. I love that. Hey, well, he's Gary Van Dyke at the IDP Tipster on Twitter. Gary, thank you, my friend. I truly appreciate it. And it was a pleasure having you.
Yeah. Hey, I appreciate you having me on, John. And I can't wait to have you on Getting Defensive tomorrow night, Thursday night, the 14th at 8:00. So I see your cat's paw or tail. Is that a paw?
That is a paw. She's upside down next to me.
Laying out. That's funny. Yep. Yeah, but yeah, John, thanks for having me on, man. It's been great.
Yes, sir. All right, we'll see you all next week. Thanks for listening. Take care now. Bye-bye.